So ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Molloy Twins podcast, and today we're joined by a man who I think is fair to say is probably the face of Irish finance. Over 2 decades experience in the sector, and has been a pioneer in the field of trying to bridge the gap between the finance industry and the minefield that can be personal budgeting and all the rest that comes with it. So we have Paul Merriman from AskPaul. Paul, thanks for coming on.
I'll take that intro. That was a good intro.
We pride ourselves on our intro. Yeah. It's all downhill from here, though. Paul, thanks for making the time to come down. I know you're a hectic man with the release of a book that's fresh off the shelves. How's that been going?
Yeah, the book's brilliant. Yeah, it's really good. It's been number one now for, I think it's gone to the 3rd week, and it's been selling out of shops, and they're getting more printed. And yeah, I'm very surprised at how it's gone, to be fair. Thought it would go well, but not this well. So yeah, it's cool. It's weird. It's weird and cool.
How long we wrote a book, which is nothing on your book in terms of length or anything like that.
Better,
Yes. What was the process, right? How long were you writing and editing and all that?
So I don't know, it's a bit of it. I've been asked to write a book for a while now. A lot of people actually reach out to me. I'm not a big reader, I must confess.
Okay, right, yeah.
So I also was quite fearful of producing a book that was just jargon. I know we're very good at doing the jargon free. I think it's easy to talk about personal finance and write it, for me personally as well. So we're trying to make sure that we didn't just produce, there's loads of books in the marketplace, but something similar was on the marketplace and kind of bore people. And also, I was like, why would someone read the book? Why don't you just come in for a financial planning consultation? Like, by the time you read the book, just have a personal financial planning consultation, because I don't know the reader's personal finances. So it took me a while, and then we do this thing called a money masterclass for corporates. They bring me in, speak to the employees, financial well-being, and we do this really good money masterclass about an hour long. And one of the publishers had been given the money masterclass to watch. They loved it. Said, that's your book. And yeah, so we built the book on the back of the money masterclass and bring a lot of financial well-being. And you know what I must say, to be fair, the publishers have a lot of credit to be given. Like, we wrote the book, and one of the guys in the office, Paul Kelly, he's been with me for a good few years now as well, helped me with it, kind of formatting the chapters, and we brainstormed that would be climbing the sugar loaf and giving them voice notes of win, and so we can do this and we can do this chapter, and then the more it grew, the more kind of proud I became of it. But geez, the publishers did a great job on it. Like, it's a really good book, and I'm not saying that for my credit. I'm saying for the guys that edited and pulled it together. It's really good. Where I didn't write it that well. So I'll give the publishers a lot of credit. We spent a lot of time going through the pages, what we're trying to get through, the chapters, the case studies, the examples, the quizzes that are in the book. So yeah, it's actually, I'm really proud of it. And I wasn't
good stuff
that into it writing it.
Right, okay.
To be fair. But it's really cool. It's really good. And getting loads of messages of people saying, people are sharing on Instagram and highlighting the sections that they like and listen to this. And I was like, fuck, yeah, you forget how, although we have a big Instagram follow, a big TikTok follow, and you forget the power of a book to a lot of people that I probably miss because I don't read that much. Yeah. So it's going well.
Love it. I've read the book, I picked it up, and I thought it's something that just takes these concepts or these like principles that I just feel like so far removed from general population day-to-day sort of talk, and just brings it back to something that's like, there's loads of examples you put in that you can easily relate things to.
Yeah, you know, we were trying to do that with the book, in fairness, because like I said, it was easy to get carried away and just end up going down a rabbit hole and, you know, jargon and industry and pension legislation and shit that no one wants to know about.
Man, all the tax stuff, I didn't realise how many taxes fuck me. I want to just close the thing there.
Just don't pay that money. It's really good. I am really genuinely proud of it. But yeah, the working examples we tried to, and you're right, you know, the AskPaul brand has always been about trying to bridge the gap between what people think a financial planning industry is and what it should be, which it should be jargon free. It should be open to everybody. Like, we've got clients investing 100 quid a month, and clients investing millions after either inheritance or selling business or lotto winners or whatever comes through the door. And yeah, we're proud of that. We kind of, what we say, advice equality. We have a big team. We've got a wealth management team. We've got a mortgage team. You know, we've got advisors that were purely there if somebody just wants a pension advisor. So we're not going to bring them through a whole financial plan. They don't want it. And then we have people that are really into financial planning and want to get an understanding of where they are. So we've built a really successful practice that kind of has something for everybody. And I think that's cool. I'm really proud of that with the brand. I think that's the main thing the brand was supposed to do. I think it's worked out.
So I think that's probably one of the most powerful things about what you guys do specifically? Because when you think of a financial planner, I think if you just hear that name off the bat, you think, it's for rich people. It's not that way.
100%.
But it's people who aren't rich who need it more than anyone, because when you have the limited resources.
You think it is. And that was genuinely the first time you started as Paul, was to break down those barriers, to say, you've got stockbrokers out there that won't talk to you unless you have 250 grand, unless you earn 100 grand income. Guys out there charging thousands for financial plans, which is nonsense. I mean, as much I think we make a massive impact on people's lives, you can't be charging thousands. It goes against the principle of financial plan. Someone 40 paying 4 or 5 grand for a financial plan, they've had to earn 8 or 9 grand to get it. That 8 or 9 grand in the pension plan probably worth a couple of $100 grand. Like, I'm not worth a couple of $100 grand for an hour. I'm not. I don't know that.
Yeah, we're not paying you that anyway.
90 grand. I know we could have deal.
Knock a few zeros off.
We'll actually discuss it. I think we've broken down those barriers, and it's cool. We've got, I think it's 108,000 followers on Instagram, 80 odd on TikTok, 1,000, and we've 13,000 clients. So, someone says, remember someone saying, that's all you have of 100,000 followers. I said, but not everyone's supposed to be my client. People have company pension plans that they know how to interact with now because of looking at my content. People have gone to the bank. They've gone to other mortgage advisors, which is pretty cool. I can't give everybody a service anyway.
Yeah, exactly,
it's a big industry. It's a big population. So we've answered tens of thousands of free DMs, free emails. We've done loads of financial planning stuff for free for whether it's charities or public sector. We've done a lot of stuff during COVID-19 for self-employed people. It's been a great ride. I've loved every minute of it. We've done a lot of shit for free, and we've got the reap the rewards with 13,000 people trusting with their finances, and we do pick up business out of that, and we do pick up sales. It's a business. So I think that relationship with the public has worked well. We give out a lot of stuff for free, and we hoping somebody wants an investment account or a mortgage, or they leave their company pension, they don't know what to do with it, or they're worried about their inheritance from their parents. Look, the list is endless. Kids, education funds, loads of stuff we do that they think of us and say, well, we give the lads a chance, so we go see someone and ask Paul, and kind of works in a weird way.
Definitely. I think the big word there that you said is trust. I think especially since the recession in Ireland, there's been a lot of hesitancy when it comes to putting your money in places where you can't see it. If it's not under the bedroom pillow, you don't know what's happening.
No, you're dead right. And I think as a country we're kind of caught up in the financial crisis too much as well. I think a lot of people have been paralysed to make proper decisions, and they haven't made the right decision because of what happened. And you have to look at 2007 as a once in 100-year event, and the fallout from that has been low interest rates, low inflation, people being on tracker mortgages, having like really low repayments, and they didn't get advice, and they didn't. Now their mortgage has gone up, 500, 600, 800,000. I've seen horror stories. And look, not trying to say I told you so, but back in 2020 or 2021, we were saying to people, rates are going to start going up, fix your mortgage with Advent or fix it with Finance Ireland, 2.5% fixed for 25, 30 years. I shared a story on my Instagram.
I seen it just yesterday, wasn't it?
Yeah. So that's one of the proud, like I say, we clients with millions, and I love all those clients. To be fair, they're great clients. Don't go anywhere.
Do they have any friends?
But that couple yesterday, they came in for review, a simple review to top up their investment account by, I think it was 80 quid or 90 quid, 100 quid a month, I think it was. And I know that there's so many boys that wouldn't deal with that, and they can say I'm AskPaul, I'm the CEO, but they were a client of ours and they asked to see me. Of course you can see me. It doesn't make a difference what you're earning to me. And she was saying that she was giving up work or reducing her hours, from September, because their mortgage was fixed at 2.5 with Advent through us. They heard me speaking on Instagram. They came in for the consultation. They trusted us. They were going to go 1.9 for 7 years. I just done a video saying do it for 2.5. They said the mortgage advisor agreed, and now their mortgage is 800 quid, and it would have been 1,500 quid. They had a stayed with Bank of Ireland. They rolled off their fixed rate onto 4.5% now, and she's given up or reducing her hours and work, spend more time with the kids. She's a teacher from September. And that's financial. That's what financial planning advice is supposed to be. Yeah, we do the investments in the millions and the pension planning, the tax planning, the estate planning, and all that kind of, I'm going to call it the sexy side of business, because it is quite cool. Yeah. But when you hear you made an impact on someone's life with advice that much, and even the kids are going to have more time with them, like that's what I love financial planning. That's the real cool side of the business for me personally. So yeah, it's great. You get a lot of reward out. That's the biggest reward you can get, so it's cool.
Money is just I mean, coming from someone who hasn't got a whole lot of it, but it is just a tool to enhance the quality of your life.
It is. You know, I was saying to that couple yesterday as well. I said to the couple this morning, you know, with a couple in this morning for financial planning consultation, and they have 2 investment properties that they need to sell. They're paying too much money for them. They borrow too much money in the day to get them. They're doing them no justice. They're going to sell the properties. They've got a few $100,000 maybe in equity out, and they're going to invest that. And then they were saying they're paying $10,000 a year towards these properties to keep them afloat, which is madness. And they were saying, can we invest the $10,000? It's like, no, spend it. You don't need any more money in saving, investment, or pensions, because they're completely cool. They've an amazing company pension plan, which has nothing to do with me. They've done over the last 20 years, their early 40s. And we're saying take the $10,000 and spend that £800 a month. Go on bigger holidays, better holidays, you know, do a job share in the future. Spend the money. I mean, people need to spend, you know, the younger you are, the more money you should be able to spend. And if you have a really good plan from a young age, it allows you to have that dynamic right the way through. So if you're in your 20s watching this, or your late teens even, you know, you should be able to spend 90% of your income and just do something cool with 10%. If you're 50 watching this and you've done nothing financial planning wise, you're going to have to probably look at only spending 60% of your money and doing something with 40% because your time frame's less. And that's logical. You don't need to be a certified, financial planner or a financial expert to work that out. And that's what money is. Money's actually quite logical, but our industry overcomplicates the fuck out for people. Like, it doesn't need to be that complicated.
Nice. I don't know if you have a question planned, but if you don't mind going a little left here.
So I don't know, you left.
Normally we do a little warm up, as in like a quick fire sort of thing to get into it. But because you're a financial planner, I thought it'd be a bit more fun to basically call it Redlight, Greenlight. I'm going to throw something at you. I want you to say, as a financial planner, whether it's a good idea or a bad idea.
Great.
And then tell me why.
I'm not running away from guns, am I?
We'll see what your answers are first. The first one, financing a car. Good idea or bad idea?
I'm going to say bad idea, but look, in fairness, like hypothetically speaking from a financial plan, bad idea. You want to have an investment account and be able to build up an investment account and be able to use your own money to buy your car. But 70-80%, I borrowed for years for cars. So yeah, it's probably a good idea. Financially bad, but you probably need to do it. So I'm not going to tell anybody it's a bad idea. Like, probably everyone watching this is going to have a car loan. Or has had one or is going to have one. Ideally, you don't want one. And I'd hope in 10 years, you read the book for argument's sake, in 10 years you might have an investment account that will buy your next car for cash. So, orange.
Orange. We'll take the orange.
Next one, credit cards.
Yeah, red. Yeah, red. Like, there's no point. Like, no. Unless you need them for, like, I have an Aer Lingus credit card through Bank of Ireland. So if you have a business, please don't do this just to have extra cash and to blow a credit card. But Bank of Ireland have a really good Aer Lingus credit card. And, you know, if you spend more than $5,000 for your company on it, which most people would, a company credit card, and you're clearing automatically through your cash flow, you get 2 free flights to anywhere in Europe a year. You get free access to the airport lounge and in the Aer Lingus airport lounge. You get through fast track free of charge. So if you're traveling, I travel a lot with work and with the kids and the family. So I'd use that, but I don't, you know, my personal credit card, I don't think I very rarely use it.
Yeah. Nice. Good answer. Next one. I think it only really makes sense in the specific Irish context, but waiting on property prices to go down before you go.
Not going to happen. And you buy a mortgage, not a property. Get the book.
Yes.
You buy a mortgage, not a property. Mortgage rates are going one way, which is up. House prices are staying steady in Ireland. They're not budging. If you're going to buy anything between 200 and 600 grand, it's not going to fall.
Okay.
What you said there, you buy a mortgage, not a house. I read that in the book. I was like, oh Jesus, he's so true, so right, man.
Yeah,
it's so
everyone's
right.
really property. Like, I mean, if you look at the do you see the example in the book where I gave the cost of interest for 2 people, where someone borrowed a 2.5 last year versus someone who borrowed a 4.5 this year? I think it was 800 grand. I can't remember the figures. In the difference in the interest. So you're buying a 400 grand house. 2 years ago, you wanted to wait for the property market to fall by 20% before you broke even with the mortgage costs. People forget it. People forget it's not the house you're buying. You're not buying anything. You're putting a deposit down and you buy the mortgage, and the bank give you the deeds when you're 60 or 70 years age. That's when you own your house. So, you know, that's really important for people to understand mortgages.
Man, yeah, some things in that book are heartbreaking.
Still buy it.
Still buy it, but it's good heartbreaking.
Just the tissues close by when you're there.
Going directly to a bank for a mortgage versus going to a mortgage broker.
Red, like one bank, one rate. Need to have a broker. I know I would say that we have a mortgage broking service. I know I would say that, but our mortgage broking service was born to try and give better service rather than, I think, we make a very small profit in our mortgage department. It's very hard to make money in mortgages, to be fair. And yeah, I I'm saying it because why would you go to one bank with one rate and one lending policy when you could go to 4 or 5 different banks with different lending policies and different rates? Okay, you might end up where you were, but at least you've gone around the house to find you haven't missed anything.
Yes.
And that's so important with anything with finance, whether it's your electricity bill. Just think about this. People shop around for electricity bill to try and save a tenner a month, but they won't shop around for the mortgage and save 80 or 90 grand in interest. Let that sink in, how backward we are when it comes to finance. Imagine that. Imagine spending an hour on the phone to the Electric Ireland over energy over 15 or 20 quid or 100 or 200 quid, but not trying to save 1% on a 300 or 400 grand mortgage. That's mind blowing to me.
It is.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm going to say red, going direct to a bank.
What an answer.
Oh man, I'm telling you, I'm not just blowing smoke in the book. Honestly, do you know the 80-20 principle where it's if you understand 80% of things that are only 20% of the important shit. It's that's what I got from the book more than that. And it's there's the 20% of the core things that if you're just aware of this shit, you don't even need to be an expert.
100%.
It just opens your eyes to so many different ways.
Yeah,
and those little 1% on a mortgage, you think that's a 3.5% or that's a 4.5%, for example, you might think, that's nothing.
I think the biggest thing for people as well with mortgages is that they are probably renting for $2,000, say in Dublin, and the mortgage is 1,600 quid. So they automatically go, I'm up.
Yep. Yep.
I'm in. I'm up money. I'm going to do this. And it makes sense. I was paying $2,000. But no one's saying if you pay $1,450 with the bank down the road, it might save you 80 grand in interest over 30 years. And that's where a financial planner comes in. And that's where the bank's not going to tell you that. Not a hope in hell the bank tell you that. And that's why it's so important to really shop around. And a mortgage is really supposed to be part of your overall financial plan. It's the biggest expense you're ever going to have. So you don't take a mortgage. You should be going to a financial planner. I know we do this, and whether somebody else or us, go to a financial planner that has a mortgage element that so they can fit your plan and your mortgage together.
Yeah.
Where there's hundreds of thousands of people walking around with just a mortgage and no plan. That's madness. Madness. So yeah, that's what the book is trying to get through, I suppose.
No, it's important point. I wanted to ask you though, I think I got involved with yourselves probably 3 years ago.
Yeah,
AskPaul, the Zurich Dynamic Fund and all that. I got my first full-time job and I was earning a monthly thing, and I was let me start trying to invest in something.
Warren Buffett.
I remember, the young Buffett. But I remember there was it probably took me 6 to 8 weeks from having the idea to do it to actually booking that call. Because there was a fee for the consultation call. Yeah. And in my young 20-year-old brain, I don't know what I was saying, it was 100 quid or 150 quid or something. I was get a new pair of runners with that. Go out with the lads. There's so much other things. So you're speaking to the young 18, 19, 20-year-old people out there. Why is the €150 for the consultation call worth spending?
Well, sometimes we waive them, in fairness, like any kind of campaign or marketing campaign.
Know that now.
He could waive them. You should have waited 8 weeks. The reason why we have the fee there, and this is really important, currently our financial planning consultations at the time recording this are free because you're trying to promote them with the book. So to try and stop the barrier for entry. But the problem with anything when you put it out for free is, number one, some consumers won't value if it's free. I've heard mention of other advisors charging 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 financial plan, which to me is fucking robbery. Probably not going to ditch them. Well, I just did. It was robbery. But
we'll link them down below.
The fee, why we put the fee in is that we also want to make sure that we're dealing with people that want to do business with us and be involved in the investment club. We do free Instagram messages and free questions at questions@askpaul.ie. So if you wanted to ask a question, why would you book in and take a free spot from you who wants to go into the investment accounts? Because we've only got so many staff. Yeah. I've only got so many slots in a week to fill. So the fee is supposed to be there to say, if you're serious about this, they'll pay the fee and they'll come in. If they're not and they want to ask a question, they go free to DMs. So it's trying to protect clients that want to come in and do business with us. And that's why, I'm not being smart saying it's only €150, or why it's €99 when we dropped them, is to have a nominal fee to try and stop people. I'm not going to say wasting our time, but we want them to use that time through Instagram, where we can get back to them at 6 o'clock or 9 o'clock. I'd be answering questions we have an 8-month-old baby was answering questions at fucking 5 o'clock this morning back to somebody on a mortgage from England, coming back to Ireland at 5 a.m. this morning. So, but if they come in for a consultation and yet somebody wants a mortgage in Ireland today and they want to do it, they're not getting access to it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So that's where the fee is there. So I think by paying the fee, you're getting the full attention of your financial planner, your financial advisor. And yeah, I think 150 quid to sit down with somebody for an hour, and then all the rest of the consultations are free. Most people have 2 or 3 consultations, so it ends up being 50 quid an hour, whatever it is. It's pittance in the overall scheme of things, in my opinion. So I think to have somebody, whether it's the investment account or it's like an income protection or a mortgage plan or just a financial plan. Like I think if you're 18 and 19 and someone can sit down with you and give you an hour and say, right, this is how you set your life up. This is what 10% of your income does forever. You're sorted for your house deposit when you get to 30, 35. You're sorted for a return at 60 years of age rather than 70 years of age. That's worth 150 quid in my opinion, easily. So, and by the state of those runners you're wearing, you probably should have maybe spent it.
I'm waiting on the dynamic fund to go up. That's why we keep the camera from the
like
waist
a man
up.
out of Back to the Future with your laces that tie and everything.
He's a trendsetter. Everyone will be wearing these.
These are the Boston podcast shows.
Yeah. Your runners are lovely.
Yours are nice as well.
Yeah, he's stylish. Cool. In terms of, I want to just go back to the beginning. So obviously everyone knows, most people at least will know who you are, where you're at now. What inspired you to want to get into this industry?
Money.
Yeah,
money. I left school at 18, went to Talent IT for a week, dropped out, couldn't get by rag week.
The barrier, that's a tough
barrier.
one to get
Especially I lived in
past.
Talent Village and I went to Talent IT. So you had to pass Molloy's pub in Talent Village every day, and then the Dragon Art, which was literally impossible. No, the wrong course. Dropped out, went to work, got a job in an insurance company, Royals from Alliance on Dawson Street. And I was just about to turn 19 in April. That was January I started. And I love work, love being in town. It was a great job, really loved it. But it was just like you were kind of back office, giving motor quotes over the phone, household quotations over the phone.
Right,
back then. The internet wasn't a thing for quotations. And it was a limit to your job. You know, it was a desk job. You're going, like, it was just a limit. And it wasn't for me. I was a little bit more entrepreneurial and I wanted to take over the world at that age. And then a guy called Tom Mulcahy, one of the kind of sales guys, was trying to get the sales team. He was saying, look, you're better off in the life industry. Met somebody then, with the guys that worked in one of the shops downstairs, used to go for a pint with him after work. His mate worked in Irish Life. Met him one weekend. He got me an interview. Got into it and absolutely loved it from day one. Really fell in love with it. It's great. From day one, it was always about, I'm not ditching Irish Life, but remember, I think I say this in the book, you know, there was a CD, you get a CD, send out your house, a DVD. You watch it. There's a guy called Paddy Finnegan, who's now the CEO of Mercedes Ireland. Really great guy, like a legend. But he was one of the directors in the company at the time. He's on the CD, you know, impacting people's lives, yada, yada, yada. But when you get into Irish Life, it was more product sales. So you just try and find people to sell pensions to, try and find people to sell life assurance to. And it was a sales-based role. And although I enjoyed it, I tried to stick to the principles of what to sell and make sure we weren't overselling and making selling people's stupid stuff. Yeah. You're kind of believing, like, you're telling 20-year-olds, get into the pension now because when you get to 65. And although there's merit to that, looking back, they probably should have had more holidays. Now that I'm 40 and looking back on, that probably wasn't the best thing to be doing for 20-year-olds. Now, the spreadsheet says it was. Because the spreadsheet says you put 200 quid a month in, by the time you get to 65, you're going to have a couple of $100 grand in your pension. That definitely makes sense. But at the time, when you're trying to sell a product and you need sales on a weekly basis, you will promote the really best part of that product. And there was no cash flow planning. There was no, like, what's your disposable income, and there's none of that crack. And then the industry back then, when I got into it 20 odd years ago, nearly 20 years ago, it was still more a life insurance salesman's role. And then since then, they've brought in, the industry has been really heavily changed from a regulation point of view. The consumer protection code has been brought in for consumers. I'm a certified financial planner. We went through all the different modules through UCD, big exams from the Financial Planning Standards Board, which is a worldwide recognised qualification. And it's all about ethics. It's about, you know, the various different modules go into tax planning, estate planning. It goes into investments at a different level than you'd know. So it's a really cool qualification. It's phenomenal. And there's only about 800 of us in the country with that level of a qualification. And even few of them are actually practicing like I will. Some of these guys are CFPs and they're working directly in a bank, which I think is ridiculous, because you can only offer the bank's product. You have to be what's called multi-agency. I loved it. Got into it, and then the money was phenomenal. It was early 20s and we were earning ridiculous money, not gonna lie, and it was phenomenal. And it served me well. Then, like, CFP came along and we said we'll do the AskPaul stuff and try and get back into the right things for the right people, for the right for the right plan. And then we stuck to those principles and then grew a phenomenal brand and business on the back of it. So
here we are now.
How long has AskPaul been going?
It's 6 years or 7 years. What's that video you mentioned?
7 years.
7 years.
7 years.
Yeah. It's mental. So I'm really proud, and I sometimes pinch myself. It's weird. Even doing stuff like this, being asked on like by cool guys like you talk about personal finance like 6 years ago. This is genuinely dream come true stuff, like, you know. And obviously we sold the businesses, you know, that as well, and it's a phenomenal event for myself, my wife and our kids, and our security for our family. And yeah, it's been a dream. But we did it all for the right reasons, we hope, and we started, like I said, all that free content in those hours and trying to educate people for free and not having any clients, and, you know, diving into social media and that first video being as bad as it is and having the balls to do it, I suppose, maybe as well.
That's it,
so it's kind of cool. It's been brilliant.
I was curious, Lee was mentioning he was kind of dragging his heels for a few weeks before booking that call. How long did you have the idea of getting into the social media space before you actually...
So I mentioned the book as well. We follow Gary Vaynerchuk from I think it was in a gym with a guy, Sonny, and he was a trainer, and he was a big fan of Gary, and he was going in to see a Gary V conference. What the fuck are you talking about? Sap, what are you doing? Like, going to talk to this was some American dude talking about, you know, Facebook. Would you go away? And he gave me his book. And in fairness, I read some of the book. But I started not being a big reader. I started following your man online, and he's brilliant. He's just phenomenal. I think Gary V, if you don't follow him, you know, start following him. If you have any type of small business or any type of a business idea, this guy is phenomenal. He's probably the best in the world, in my opinion. Followed him. I said, fuck it, we'll do it. We'll try. Do you know, I was actually over in Manchester. I don't think I say this in the book. I was in Manchester with brother Alan, my lad Keane, his lad Alex, were in a Man United match. And Alan's buddy had a kid with him. So our kids are like 8 or 9. This lad was about 13 or 14.
Okay.
I can't remember the lad's name. A lovely kid. Like, it was a really, really nice lad. And I remember we were staying in some shithole hotel outside of Manchester and getting a tram into the city centre. And the uncle had his phone out. And so I'm going back probably 9 years ago now. Okay. So he's in his early 20s now. And this kid, funny, he was talking into his phone. I was like, what the fuck is he doing? Like, and he says, I'm doing a vlog. I was like, what's a vlog? And it's like, I'm just telling people and getting the tram. And I said, who?
Who
like,
cares?
who are you talking to? Like, what are you doing? Like, are you sending to your mum? Or like, said, no, I'm going to put it up online later on. I was like, what do you mean online? Like, who watches this shit? Like, and then fast forward 9 years ago, me walking down the road. And it was that kind of connection of that kid doing that. And then listening to Gary V going, fuck, there's something weird happening here. And if this guy is right, this is going to do this. And if we get in early enough, and he was talking about stuff that you're passionate about, and I was genuinely passionate about financial planning. And I think that was 2015. And I'll actually put this on Instagram after we do this today. I think there's a photograph here on my phone that I found. And it's a note. I took a screenshot of it. Okay. And the note is from 2012, March 2012, saying how to write a book on financial planning for the public.
No way.
So that was 2012. I just done the CFP. I was like, how do we get this financial planning thing out to the public? No one ever heard of it before. Everything was just product sale. And then weirdly, follow Gary V, this young on his vlog thing. I was kind of saying, how do we get this out? A book was the obvious thing to do. I didn't even know. There was no Facebook, Snapchat, definitely no Instagram. And I was thinking book. Then I said, no, we're going to do this video and we'll try this social media malark. And it just blew up.
Right. He's a visionary.
Yeah.
It's impressive. But the two are always very close.
At it. And in fairness, there was a bit of hope in it. And there was a bit of, but, you know, your man says, Gary had always said, Gary's if I know, but Gary V had always said, you know, don't give up on the content. Just keep doing it. And it will work. Promise you it will work. And I see so many people trying it, even in my industry, you know, they think it's easy. Yes. It's not easy. Like, the amount of hours, like, I said this at our book launch last week. I had to thank my wife Sarah. You know, I think our lad Luke is 7, and he was 7 since November. And I started AskPaul when she was pregnant, or maybe just after Luca was born. And I used to be up late at night answering questions, and she thought I was mad. Like, what are you doing? Like, what are you answering questions to strangers for? They're not even clients. And I thought I was mad. The industry thought I was stone mad. I was laughed at. I was slagged. I remember someone showing me a WhatsApp group one day of lads slagging me. I was at this black tie event in a mansion house, and I was just like, no, they haven't got it. I'm right. This will work. And you're up at 5 o'clock in the morning answering DMs before you go into the office. Lunchtime answering DMs. Nighttime answering, you might even DMs or Facebook messages and Snapchat. And really? Just going back, on the Snapchat and going back to people, no, take this interest rate, do this with your pension. They weren't clients. And then I remember the day somebody said to me, can I pay for a consultation to come see you? I was like, have it.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, let's do this. Let's put the website up, pay for your consultation. Like, nobody was charging for consultations in the industry because people were trying to beg people to meet them so they can sell them shit products.
Right, yes, yeah.
So we just flipped that and went, no, we're here with all this advice. Come in, we give you the best advice you can get. And yeah, we're going to sell you the products if you need them. If you need them at the right time, we can do that. And that's how we make our money in a business. But first, let us look at what you have. Come back in 2 years, come back in 3 years. I know you need a pension now, or no, you need to get the mortgage now, or you need to switch your mortgage now, whatever it was. So, yeah, in hindsight, it was quite cool what we did.
I'm glad you mentioned that because that was my next question in terms of whether it's podcasting. We were personal trainers before this, so you see a lot in the fitness space as well.
Rip the bits, the lads.
But it's like people will start this new venture, go really heavy on content and stuff like that for the first 4 to 6 weeks. They don't see any results and they drop off. How long were you at it before you started to see results?
It was a good while, in fairness. And actually, the central bank reached out to us. So we were regulated. We had a company called Pax Asset Management.
Right.
So it's Pax Asset Management. Same now, even first on our business now. It's regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. So you have to be regulated to give financial planning advice on products and services. So they reached out to us saying, you know, this AskPaul thing isn't regulated. What's the crack? Saying, no, we're not giving advice. We're just talking about what you could do. And the central bank said, maybe you should regulate it. So, you know, so we regulated it as AskPaul. So Pax Asset Management trading as AskPaul. And when that happened, it was about a year from the first video. And I was like, the central bank know about this. And we're giving advice and we're on social media. This is after getting a bit bigger than I thought. I never thought that would happen.
Yeah.
And that's when we decided, right, let's level up. Let's level up. We got a marketing director in. You know, we did some really cool things business wise, and one of them was kind of noticing my lack of expertise in some areas. I'm gonna say I'm a phenomenal planner. I'm not being cocky saying that, probably sound like I am, but I'm really passionate about it. I love it and I think I'm one of the best. And I knew I wasn't great in marketing. I knew I was shit at the CFO, the financial part of the business,
right? Okay,
because I hadn't got time for it. It didn't interest me, it bored me. So we got on a CFO, we got on a marketing director, we got somebody in from ops. Like, we were acting like we were
proper business
there, we were there, but then we got sold, and when first someone attracted to us was because we had all that management team in place.
Yes,
So it all kind of happened weirdly in that. The central bank was a year later. Once that happened, like, right, we need to get serious here, and we hired in a marketing director, which, like, fuck did I think we were hiring a marketing director? Like, it was just madness. But it worked. So yeah, it's a year, but then it doesn't stop. It's still doing now. It's 5 o'clock this morning, still on answering DMs to people, because that's the brand. We put that out there. I can't say, I've sold a business, or I've loads of money, or I don't need to go to work anymore. I'm passionate about it. I love it. I love helping people with financial planning. I think that's what I do. I'll always do it. And you have to continuously do it. You have to like, even before I left the office there, I put a really cool video up on how to do, I think it was 87 quid a month, 40 years of age, what 87 quid a week can do for you. And it was to build a pension fund at 260k and clear your mortgage at 65 if you had a mortgage at 70. I was just thought of that at the desk today. So this would be cool. People will relate to this. Let's put it up on our stories. So you're always kind of creating content then once you get into that bug, I suppose. But yeah, loads of people try it, don't stick to it, because in my opinion, they're doing it for the wrong reasons. They're doing it to become successful rather than doing it because they really believe in it. And you see that with fitness trainers. You know, I've seen some really cool fitness trainers who've done it for years, and then people think it's overnight success. It's not. They don't see the hard work for decades, years and years and years, maybe not decades, but years and years. So yeah, if you put it out for the right reason, which is to help people lose weight or get fitter, if you really believe in that, and you're going to double down and do it for that reason, I genuinely believe you'll go like that, success-wise. If you're sitting there saying, I'd love to be a millionaire, and I'm going to sell dodgy fucking fitness programs to people that are overweight because they're an easy target, you're not going to succeed. Might for a little bit, but you'll be found out.
Yeah.
I'm not saying for anything you try to sell now, in my opinion.
No. As Warren Buffett says, when the tide goes out, you see who's swimming naked.
Yeah, 100%. Pervert.
Especially Donny
Greystones next
But that story is an amazing story. But was there any points throughout where you were like, right, fuck this, I'm done, it's not working, I'm not doing it anymore? No,
to be fair, there wasn't. No, I genuinely love the content piece. I love helping people. I know that sounds like such an American corny thing to say, but you know, I wouldn't go to sleep until nearly all the DMs were answered, because I thought I just said, if you commit to that, people say, your man answered me.
Yeah,
you know, I send the question in, your man answered me. And it's just weird. I'll tell you a funny story. When Fairstone came to acquire us, they came to us and they're looking to acquire in the Irish marketplace, which was great for us, obviously. We did a deal with them, and then we were in the middle of kind of get to know each other before we actually signed anything. They said to us, come over to a conference we're doing in Edinburgh. So myself and a couple of managers jump on a plane, go to a conference in Edinburgh, and then it was kind of, you could tell that Fairstone had kind of said, bring the lads out for the night. So I went down the piss.
Entertain them.
I went down the piss. And I was telling the guys, there's AskPaul Brand. These are kind of the junior guys that wouldn't have been involved in the kind of negotiations of the deal. Anyway, get to a nightclub in Edinburgh. And you're not getting in, lads, this usual stuff. And then this lad turns around and goes, are you AskPaul? So your man was Irish, and we were in Edinburgh. And the two guys that were with us from Fairstone thought this was amazing, because it was not saying celebrity, but it was, and then the bouncer went, come on ahead, lads. Thought we were kind of known, but it was, I think, not saying to give the confidence from the boys, they were going to buy us anyway, but all those hours and all those nights and all that work of answering DMs, and he said, you asked a DM and I messaged you, and this at 2 o'clock in the morning, so I had a nightclub in Edinburgh. But it was like, to the guys who are trying to acquire us, that we kind of lived to what we said we were doing with the brand as well. Does that make sense?
100%.
And so I think we have a bug for it. We were good at it. And those stories kind of come back when people recognise you, or they say, you helped me with this. That's a deadly feeling.
Big time.
It's a great feeling to help anybody. So
when AskPaul started, was it just you, or was there others involved with?
No, it was there was others involved in the business. So I sold. I think I either sold or was about to sell. Ian came into the business. He was a phenomenal, from a sales point of view, an advisor role. And we sold 40% of the business to him. I had gifted another few percent, 5% to a colleague of mine. Connor's with me from day one, legend. He's phenomenal. When I left Irish Life, I had one of those Jerry Maguire, who's coming with me moments. Connor stood up and came with me, and was with me through thick and thin and starting the business with 3 or 4 other employees. And then the lads give me the back in Detroit. Like, I think they thought it was mad in the beginning. Like, what are you doing, spending all this money on marketing and talking to yourself on the phone like where I was that kid at the time in Manchester. But the lads supported the journey, and obviously it's been phenomenal with the buyout and everything that's happened after there. But there was a few of us. There was only, I think there was 8 of us, if memory serves me correctly. And then we were sold, we're 66 staff. So
it's big time. I was just curious, because it's obviously AskPaul. I don't know if there was any worry of if it's just built around me. Great
question, because it wasn't about Paul, and I know that's so stupid to say. And there's another weird story. I'd always said, you don't go into Paddy Power and you don't expect Paddy Power to be filmed in the day. Where's Paddy there? Can I want him to do my betting slip? And that was always the ambition for AskPaul. And weirdly enough, when I started it was all the DMs or hi Paul. And everyone was like, that's a fucking wrong idea. But I was like, no, to break down the barriers of personal finance, and especially because of a Dublin accent, and I'm not from the posh side of Dublin, maybe originally from Tala Village, and I can maybe relate to more people who said about breaking down those barriers of the finance industry. It kind of suited to be me. I said, no, we'll use my name, because if you have a name to go with it, it will break down that barrier rather than just say, ask about pensions or something stupid So anyway, we did that, and fairly soon people started saying hi team when we started bringing in other advisors, and we started putting them in front of Instagram. And weird enough, we ended up sitting down at Christmas dinner. I'm in this thing called the Don Bombers, just bring you through in a second, with Jerry Hussey. Jerry Hussey. Paddy Powers. So on the first Christmas party with Jerry, I sit down beside the table, and fucking Paddy Powers sitting beside us. I love your site, AskPaul. I was like, I'll talk to you for the night. Talking marketing strategies for the night and all this. And so it's just mad. He gave us a lot of support and a lot of tips, obviously. Not tips, betting tips, but tips from a marketing point of view.
Which horse race I shall
that whole thing, I've always said, it needs to be like Paddy Power. People don't think it's Paddy. And now, very rarely people say in the DMs, hi Paul. It's usually hi team, can you help me out? Or even hi Mark Root is one of the guys on the team, is phenomenal on Instagram, and very, very like me years ago, on all the time, trying to get the support to as much people as he can. And he would say hi Mark, or hi team, or hi Connor if it's Connor Strange that was on, etc. Or Anya Cullen. There was a lot of content for us as well in the team. She's a phenomenal advisor. It's kind of worked that it's not just Paul anymore. And maybe that was a bit of luck or hard work, but I think the marketing team did a great job on that by bringing in, they brought in avatars of all the other team members who used to push them out on a weekly basis and to let people know it was bigger than just me. But at the beginning, it was just me answering DMs and doing all the video content outside of my normal day job, I suppose.
Yeah, you're working 24/7 at that.
Yeah, it was
stage.
flat. It was fucking mental, but it's always been like that. Like, it's always.
I know you mentioned your son Luca. Is that?
Yeah, Luca. He's 7.
He's your oldest.
No, I have a 19-year-old.
Have a 19-year-old. I wanted to ask, how did the kids respond to their dad?
Well, so our eldest are Keen and Charlie, 19, and they I think they get still slag. They hate it. Yeah, especially on Snapchat. Like we did a bus stop campaign. We were all over Dublin bus.
Oh yes.
And I think their mates gave them a hard time, in fairness. But look, in fairness, I'm only 41. I came when I was in my early 20s, so we're kind of not going to say the cool parents. We're at the younger age of the parent bracket, so I think we get away with it with our mates. Luca loves it. You know, they had very proud actually at the lunchbox, the book launch last week. I was just saying a few words. I actually kind of got choked up for the first time ever talking because the kids are there with Sarah, and it was a fucking book launch in a book. So it was just weird. It was one of those kind of pinchy moments, and the kids were just kind of standing in front of me. So I'd like to think they're quite proud of what we've achieved with it. I'm sure it was more to find at some stage in their mid-teens. But I don't know. I think when they look around at what we've achieved, they better be proud for getting kicked out.
Fight.
We have a question, unless you have one.
No,
and I don't want to open any old wounds here, right? But something that we're very keen on the podcast is, like, we believe that you learn more from your failures than your failures than your successes. As a financial advisor, I know that you don't bear responsibility for what people ultimately do. Have you ever pointed someone in a direction or said, I think you should do this for X, Y, Z, and it just went horribly wrong?
Yeah, I have. Again, going back to Irish Life probably, and what was called we were product selling, and it was before the financial crash. And I suppose there's a couple of property funds that we would have been selling to clients, and clients would have been putting money into them, and they went south, which was horrendous. Now, never went south. They lost all the money. They actually had to stay in. They would have got the money back. But 2007 was a bit of a shit show. Everyone was panicking, and people were losing their jobs. They needed money. And I think that's probably the best lesson for me to have back then. I remember one couple in particular that took it really badly. And in fairness and hindsight, they probably shouldn't have went into the product. But now they went into the product knowing the risks. But back then, nobody saw any risks in 2006, 2007. It was just a different world. It's weird to explain. But that's kind of really held true to me from even with the AskPaul brand, and that we stick to the knitting. We don't do much like didn't get involved in any mad. There's kind of non-regulated schemes going around that a lot of people got born in this thing called Dolphin Trust, and we never got involved with that. It was just too good to be true for clients. So I think that early in my career, now it wasn't me designing the products, it was Irish Life. It was new in the door, and we're selling the products. So unfortunately I've seen that in the past. Luckily that hasn't happened under my watch in PAX or AskPaul or in Fairstone. We're very, very, very careful about what we recommend to clients. And even the Dynamic Fund, I show my investment in the Dynamic Fund all the time. I open my account in Zurich, I show my login, I say there's my 100 grand I put in a couple of years ago, there's my 2 grand a month, this is what it's worth, there's a pension top up of 30 grand into the top tech 100, that's what that's worth, and we're very transparent. And I'm quite proud of that. I suppose other times you kind of maybe, again going back to the Irish Life days, you might end up in a situation where from a sales product point of view, you're trying to get people into products that they probably could have been in much later in life, maybe pension or investment. But again, it's hard to say that as well, because saying to somebody go into a pension plan is not the word. Like, it's not that bad. It's not. But you end up product selling. You would have been product selling quite a lot back then. Where now, and look, in fairness, the industry's completely changed. Not just AskPaul, the industry's completely changed, and the consumer's completely more aware as well. Back then the life companies and the investment managers really held the kind of where the financial industry, we fucking tell you what's right. Now the consumers are going, doing that.
Yeah.
Sap. What do they do that for? I'm 30. Or, do you know what I mean? Like, there's a bit of give and take now more with consumers than there probably was 20 years ago. But I think that's it, to be fair, from your question. I think that's the only time I remember it. We've never had an official complaint against us, against any kind of mismanagement or against any wrong advice. Quite proud of that.
Nice. No Bernie Madoff Ponzi schemes going on.
No.
That'd be interesting. You could just make one up so we have an interest.
Do you want me to give you something for the pod? Right, come here, don't tell anyone.
What would you say from the people, I know you may not do as many of the consultations now as you might have done earlier days, but what would you say is the general relationship with finance you're seeing from people coming through the door nowadays?
Great question. That's a really good question. To be honest, we're seeing people in their late teens, early 20s that are very curious.
Okay.
And it's really cool to see that. And fuck me, they're so well put together compared to when I, like, even when I was a personal finance, even when I was in my 20s. There's a lot more education. Like, we get a lot of people that age saying the S&P 500, and they're listening to kind of, you know, the fucking American content. And, you know, need a credit score. You don't. You live in Ireland, not in New York. Calm down. You don't need a credit score. And the S&P is not all I've cracked out to be. You're listening to Tony Robbins talking about the S&P 500. That's not how he made his money. Made his money talking to people like he is to you. So it's just a bit weird. So trying to demystify some of that for people. Honestly, I think now we see a lot of people in their early 40s, which is cool because I'm in my early 40s. So you presume you attract people like, you know, same demographic, same age, especially online. And they're coming in and they have what's called the aha moment, or they're coming up for air, where they've had kids, they've had creches, they've had mortgages, they've had careers, and they're starting to get comfortable in their career. Their income level is much higher than they were in their late 20s when they started having kids, or early 30s. Yeah. And they have 5 grand, 10 grand, 50 grand. Then what do we do next? And they've got one eye on retirement because they're in their 40s now. And that tends to be a good cohort of our financial plan. Now, we get everything from, like, a client in last week, message in the page, 88 years of age, you know, still looking to invest and trying to get better return than Irish banks, pissed off at bank deposit rates. And obviously there's loads of regulation that goes around trying to talk to somebody about money. But yeah, why would you not? Because they're 88 years of age. They, you know, they're probably more financial smart than the rest of us. So yeah, and they range from people that get kids like 14 in transition year, 15, 16, reaching out. I've got 5 grand. You know, I've done this online, or I'm selling this on the side. What would I do with 5 grand that would help me when I'm 25? It's steady. That's all really cool stuff. So it literally ranges from, I think our oldest client's 94. So it ranges from like literally 15, 16 year olds right the way up to people in their 90s, which I can't tell you how cool it is. Yeah, you got such a diverse range. You're dealing with different people on a daily basis, which obviously helps the job. So yeah, that's kind of what we see.
Keeps it interesting.
Yeah.
I have a question. You don't have to go into specifics, but for the sake of the question, I just need to get a sense of whether or not this is the case. I'm assuming you've worked with people who earn very little money, and then also people who earn extraordinary amounts of money.
Yes.
What is it that you see in the cases of the wealthy people? They do really well that people who aren't wealthy seem to struggle with.
So I'm trying to answer this without coming across a complete dickhead. So obviously we have sold the business and we've done exceptionally well financially. Okay, so it's been phenomenal. I can tell you now, it's no different. A bigger house, nicer house. We're in a much more financially secure place. I still go to work, still go to bed early with the kids, still do the same shit that I used to do, just you have more money in the bank. That's me personally speaking, okay? I've done really well from working really hard at building a business, probably selling it at the right time for me. And I've also seen people that are happier than me with no money. And I honestly know people that are on social welfare or on really low income, and they don't want any shit in life, and they're happy. They get up, they see their kids, they see their grandkids, whatever's going on in their life, they're not affected by money. And I have been affected by money from a young age. I wanted to have the Porsche, the Ferrari. I wanted to have the big house. I wanted to have money. And I've learned that doesn't actually make I'm happy as I've ever been. Okay, I've got a little bit less stress when it comes to thinking about money in the future, but I was always able to make money. Like, I was always from a kid out having 2 or 3 jobs, delivering pizzas, working on the lines, washing cars for my sisters and their mates. Even when I was in working on the lines, I used to drop people to the airport. My brother-in-law, his brother, they're going to the airport, he'd ring me, I'd drop them for 50 quid. Always doing ways of making money. So I'm not trying to turn it into about me, that story, by the way. I know I have done that, but I'm just trying to say, really, from my perspective, but I know people that are happier than me. I know people that don't have the stresses that I have. I know people that can sleep better than I can at night time, and they haven't got my money. I probably want their happiness. It's truth be told. So, you know, being in personal finance and being in that rat race of having nothing when I was younger, like as in when I started working, and you know, I mentioned I had Kim when I was in my early 20s. You know, I've lived in paycheck to paycheck jobs. I've struggled financially. I've made wrong decisions. So, you know, it doesn't really make a difference. I know it sounds so patronising, but it doesn't really make a difference what's in your bank account. You know, my granddad used to have a great saying, in fairness to him, is that you all go into the same size box. No matter what size your gaff is, no matter what size your car is, or what's in your bank account, you're all heading towards the same direction. And it's so true. And I know it's easy for me to say it, but being honest with you, you know, ask me what I think about people in the industry and make more money, people that don't. Using me as the example, genuinely doesn't make a difference. Like, I still get up this morning, sit upstairs, still put around the kitchen, trying to feed the kids, trying to get a workout in, trying to get to the school run, trying to get to the office on time, trying to meet loads of clients.
Yeah.
You know, trying to run over here in rush hour traffic to do this. Trying
Never
to
too
get back
rich for the M50. Yeah, that's it.
yeah, trying to get back across now later on for 5 or 6 and trying to bring Luca, the young lad, to training at 6:30. And, you know, and like, I'm not being smart, what's in my bank account doesn't really make an impact today. It has made no impact today.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I suppose, you know, the old saying, money doesn't make you happiness, bring you happiness, but makes you comfortable.
Yeah.
Do cool shit. Have nice cars. That's all it does. Like, that's literally all it does. Like,
Nicer toys.
Yeah, nicer toys. It's literally all it does. And that, I hope I'm not going across being patronising or cocky saying that to anybody. It's coming from that point of view. But I said, swear to God, I can probably think of 5 or 6 people off the top of my head that have no money at the end of the week, and they're just happy out. They go for a couple of pints during the week. They see their grandkids, they see their kids, they get up and they go to work, they're fine logging out at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, they're fine logging in at 9 o'clock, they switch off, they go home, they play a bit of Xbox, watch a few programs, and they don't want anything other than an easy life. And they probably have one.
Probably, yeah.
Because I'm probably trying to get to be that person at 60.
Stresses me out having that. Like,
Do you know what I mean? So, genuinely, it just be true to yourself. You know, I've always been, like I said, an entrepreneur spirit. I always wanted to drive and ambition and grow success of businesses, and that's been something that's been in me, and I feel like I've fulfilled it and delighted. But yeah, it's just straight true to yourself. If that's not you, don't try and pull it off or money. That's not worth it.
Once, let's say, the money came in from the sale and whatever else, did you expect it to make a certain impact on your life and it didn't, or did you?
Yeah, so, and it didn't. And this is it's really, really, really weird. I was sitting in Manchester, so we did a deal in the August. I got a box in Old Trafford, brought my dad, my brother, as United Liverpool, United won 2-0.
He would have sold himself.
It was epic. So my dad, my brother, my lad Kim, my nephew Alex, Dave, a good buddy of mine, his son, Yo, went over. And on the way back in the airport, the money landed in my account. And I could see it. And I was sitting in the airport, so I rang Sarah going, so it's landed, like, it's fucking in, like. That was it. Went back, picked kids up, fucking went for a meal, like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't, like, and I know, I hope I'm not trying to be patronised to anybody that might be living on the breadline and have the money. I'm trying not to be a wanker here, but it genuinely didn't make a difference. And years ago, a buddy of mine is a actor, Aidan Turner. He's an Irish actor. So he was in The Hobbit years ago. I remind me of this story. So Aidan, we grew up together. And years ago, he got into The Hobbit and he went over to New Zealand. I think he was late teens, early 20s. I was the same age, a year or so older on him. And I remember when he got the phone call, he got into The Hobbit. We were in Blackrock in this place called Tonic Bar out the back of Blackrock. Having a drink, and he got the phone call of Peter Jackson, one of the biggest directors in the world. You got in, you're picking you as this part of the film. And he went off for a couple of years to The Hobbit, came back to Ireland for the Hobbit premiere. Now he brought me to the Hobbit premiere over in LA, which was just outrageous, and then over to Berlin. It was just ridiculous. Like, I sit up at Ed Sheeran singing songs at night time, and Orlando Bloom floated around. It was just ridiculous. Anyway, Aidan came back for the premiere of The Hobbit in Ireland. Went to the premiere with Sarah and Keen and Charlie, our kids, and Archie went back to the Merrion Hotel, and I was home at 11 o'clock at night, and Ada was in bed at 11 o'clock at night. And I was saying, I rang him the next day going, what the fuck happened to us? Like, when you were 18 going off to be an actor, if we thought you were going to be in The Hobbit and you were back in Dublin for the premiere, we would have been thinking limousines, strippers, hanging out the window of the limousine. Because when you're younger, you think of successful moments as that. And it wasn't. It was just the premiere. It was him. Because the reason being, and we figured this out between us then, sorry, the point of the story is that's what happened to me when the money landed. It was the same thing. Nobody cared. When you're younger and you're thinking of these big moments in life, when you get X amount into your bank account, or you be on The Hobbit and you're in the premiere in Dublin, your hometown in Dublin, you don't think of the fucking hard work that goes in to get you there. I'm not saying you're exhausted when you get there, but it's not a lot of win. It's not you wake up and it's all this excitement. It's years of dedication. It's years of hard work. It's, it takes so much to get you there. I'm not saying you're exhausted by the time you get there, but you don't really care.
It's like a relief,
way.
Really.
Yeah, it's just like, oh yeah, that's nice. What's next? Let's keep going. Like, it's not... Danny, gone on a tangent there between yourself and Ado, but it just reminded me, I remember him saying to me, it's because, I've been living in the Hobbit for 3 years, this film. I was excited when I got it. Now I'm through it. I was excited when AskPaul took off and people started booking in. And that was way more important to me than the money landing, to be fair. That was when the excitement in the business was there. Not selling it and getting the cash. Weirdly enough.
It's weird. It's almost gamey, isn't it? It's like
it
when
is,
I don't know if you're playing GTA or Call of Duty and it's like you're going through the missions, like, can't wait to finish. And then you complete it and it's like, oh, what now?
I'm 41, don't know what you're talking about. Oh, that's the deal. Yeah, it's like that. Yeah, once you complete it, like, it's like, what do I do now? Start it again. Yeah. So that's what happened when the money landed. A long answer. Sorry. What's going on there?
Cool answer.
Yeah, great story. I want to ask, given the circumstances of the Irish government at the moment with the housing crisis and all this crack and everything else, from reading the book, I feel like I've got a bit of a better understanding of where things are at, but more importantly, where things are going, and it doesn't look like it's going to get much better anytime soon necessarily. Yeah, I just wanted to talk a bit about like people trying to get on the property ladder, let's say, in Ireland.
It's an absolute shit show. There's no other way to describe it. It's a, I don't want to turn into a political thing, but,
Will you lay the same for us as like, I'm a nobody, I don't have a clue what's going on with the thing, so will you set the scene out?
Yeah, okay, I'll set the scene. So, you're trying to get into a property ladder, you're in your early 20s or even early 30s, or could be in your 40s at this stage, and you're trying to enter a property ladder where house prices have just gone completely out of control and it doesn't look like they're going to slow down or go backwards. We're in a country where, before the financial crisis, everyone could get on the property ladder and probably really easily, which wasn't the best thing because we had this, overfueling economy and this housing crisis, or the credit crisis it was called. At the moment, we are probably expecting the government to say they're building 30,000 houses. Those 30,000 houses are probably going into social welfare systems and, rental accommodations for builders, and they're not necessarily hitting the market.
Yeah.
We should be building, I think, about 50,000, or the ESRI is saying about 50,000 houses. We're in deficit of 20,000. And what happens there is you end up having a really poor supply and a high demand, and that will always keep prices up. And then that's coupled now with over the last 10 years when we should have been trying to get people on the property ladder and building more houses, which is difficult to do because we're out of 2007, 2008 financial crisis. Now mortgage interest rates are back up to where they were nearly back in 2007. Back up towards 4 to 5%. So it's getting more difficult to buy the house because the mortgage, you can't qualify for the mortgage where you could have done a couple of years ago. So overall, I think the housing market's an absolute, like I said, shit show. I feel sorry for the housing minister, Tara Bryan. I think, it's not, this is decades of mismanagement.
Yeah, okay.
It's not one person's fault. It's not his fault in particular. No, sorry, definitely not his fault. He's trying to do the best he can to solve it. But I just don't think the government have, for whatever reason, grasped the size of the problem. Like, it doesn't take a genius to work out that you just literally need to build more houses, change your credit policy, even for a couple of years, and try and help people get on the market. And, you can blame COVID-19. It was there before COVID-19. It's still here past COVID-19 a few years later. And I feel absolutely dreadfully sorry for anyone that's in a situation where you're going to try and buy a house in Dublin, in particular Dublin, Cork, Galway, Limerick, over the next 10 years. Like, rents out of control, even though there's a cap on it. What's that? How could you have rents going up when there's a cap on rents? How can rents increase 30% when you have a cap on rents? It's a system that's completely broken, needs to be binned. And look, I'm not saying, I don't think any other party is going to do as good. I think it's easy for political parties to throw mud across the fence and the doll to say you didn't do that. You need to rip up the rule book.
Right.
Need someone, honestly, like a Michael O'Leary. You need somebody that has a commercial head on their shoulders to come in and fix that problem.
Right, yeah.
Where our politicians are teachers and doctors, not wrong with them, by the way. But when you're left with a mammoth problem, you need, I think, people that are more in a commercial sense than people that are not. And I've always thought that about politics. I think they're so far removed from reality. They're so far removed from what's going on. It doesn't take a genius. Build more houses, put more tax relief in. We've billion surplus as well that we're not putting towards housing. I don't know why. I don't think anybody knows why we're not doing that. Because the biggest problem every politician has to be facing when they go door to door for the next election is going to be surely housing.
Oh, yeah.
But yet they don't want to solve it. So, I'd see Neil Richmond, Fine Gael, he's in our area and he's putting up videos. He's had to get recently into TD and he's a lovely fella. He's a great guy. Not having to go to my service, putting videos up saying he built these houses up and step aside, built these houses up here, and which is great. They are. It's not even putting a dent in the problem. Like, it's not. But politicians think the problem with our country is that kind of 4-year cycle. How can you change anything in 4 years?
Yeah.
You know, you need someone that actually cares to go in and say, right, this is our 20-year strategy. This is how much money we have. We're going to get the right people around the table. But, you know, look in the 80s, you know, as much as Fianna Fáil and Charlie High, sorry, not pro either party here, by the way, just saying, and even Fine Gael back then, like, they were able to go in and build Tallaght by themselves. They went in and built Tallaght. There was an overpopulation. People are living in slums in the city centre. And they were able to go in and build Ballyfermot, Tallaght, all the west of Dublin. You know, they were built by corporation. Like, that solved that problem. But yet we're outsourcing. Then we have fucking developers coming in from America and the UK, buying them to rent.
Seeing all that
like,
stuff.
It's just completely mental. So, yeah, I think it's a shit show. I don't think it's going to get any better, unfortunately, as well, because you're not going to see a massive change in government at the next election. So what do you do? Unfortunately, if I was in my 20s, I'd be, again, maybe I'm different from being that hungry or whatever, money, whatever you want to call it. I'd be going to a tax-free environment. If I wanted to live in Dublin, I wouldn't want to live in Dublin. I would be in Australia. I'm being honest with you, I'd be in Australia. But if I did, and I was good at it, I was a teacher, or I was a nurse, or I was, you know, a personal trainer, I was a hairdresser, whatever it is, I'll be getting to the boy to a tax-free environment and working my whole life for the next 4 to 5 years. That's what you have to do. And
unfortunately,
nobody wants to talk about the solution. Everyone wants to talk about the problem and throw dirt at politicians. It's not going to change.
No.
So you either decide, I'm going to change it for myself, or I'm going to sit on Instagram moaning about the fact that these guys are not going to change it for me. What's the point of doing that? Now, some will say, if you don't complain, you don't do it, nothing changes. But I think when it comes to this stage, especially with the housing prices, it's every man, woman for themselves.
So, yeah.
Just find a way to get your deposit together, find a way to buy a house, find a way to beat your neighbour. And I know that's so harsh to hear, but that's what I'd be doing if I was 20. To be honest with you, I'd be out here getting as much cash together as I can. I'd be starting business. I'd be trying to give yourself an edge. I'd be working all the hours that God sent me. I'd be working 2 or 3 jobs. If you don't want to do it, don't like. But that's the only solution.
Yeah, okay.
That genuinely is the only solution. So, yeah, that's what I think about the housing market, for what it's worth.
Told you the book isn't nice reading, Liam.
It's either that or do the lotto on a Saturday night and hope for the best.
Yeah, more chance of the politicians helping there. But, yeah, so like I said, sorry, not trying to depress anybody.
No, it's the truth. It's just what needs to be said.
Take it into your own hands, go off and create your own life, and don't be relying on a fucking politician to do it for you, because they're not going to.
No.
It's not going to change.
Unfortunately not. But I appreciate you at least sharing an uncomfortable truth rather than a satisfying, you know, lie.
A nice little comforting lie. Yeah.
No, that way.
Yeah.
That was actually one of the questions I had written down.
Was it? Yeah.
I'll read out the question word for word. If you were 20 years old and had all the knowledge you have now, what would you do?
There you go. There you go. Honestly, that's what I do, because you have to. You have to. If you stay in Ireland, and this is where personal finance comes into play, and genuinely having a financial planner behind you or someone you trust, you can sit down once a year. Let's say you're on 50 grand. You're on the higher rate of income tax from 42 grand up, and you're on the lower income tax. The amount of tax you're going to leak, house prices are going to increase more than that. Just let that sink in. So if you're trying to buy a 400 grand house, there's a good chance that house is going to go up by at least 5%, not 10%, which is 20 grand. You're not even going to pay that in taxes. So even if you go to the tax-free environment and don't pay tax, you're still going to be you're still going to be catching up. So, and the average full-time industrial wage or working wage is 45 grand. So you're sitting on lower than 45 grand. Even there's 2 years. There's one you haven't got a hope. There's 2 years have some hope. You've got 90 grand combined income. You're still going nowhere quick. You still need to, and the only advantage you can do is say, right, I'm not going to pay income tax for 2 or 3 years. Plus you'll have a bleeding ball in the boy anyway rather than sitting here. But in your 20s. But yeah, you know, that's what I would be genuinely doing if I was that age, just purely because of those numbers.
I respect it.
Go ahead, sorry.
I have 2 different scenarios I want to throw at you to see what advice you would give and how you would tailor for the specific scenarios, because both scenarios are different people in my life that I just want to know what they should. They ask me what should I do. I don't fucking know.
Which one's you?
I'll ask Paul.
I'll ask Paul.
Right, first one. Say you're in your 20s.
Yeah.
You're making a decent wage for that age of life, and you just every week you're blowing your wages. So you start on a Friday with a full bank account and you finish on a Monday empty bank account, and you're looking to try set yourself up, looking down the line, mortgage, all that other sort of stuff. What should I do as 4 steps? So
just stop blowing your money. And I know it sounds a ridiculously obvious question, but I think look, you're right at some stage to do that in life. 100% agree. Go out and blow your money, you know, not really care. You can do it 18 to 22 to 25. It depends on whether you get in a relationship with someone, you want to settle down, or you have kids, or whatever's going on in your life. Everyone's different. But everyone's going to blow their money at some stage. If you're really serious about saying, I don't want to blow my money anymore and I want to be in a better situation 2, 3 or 5 years, it's like someone being overweight going to the gym and saying, I don't want to be overweight. There's no point in sitting at home and stuffing your face and not going to the gym because you don't really not want to be overweight because your actions are adding to your problem. They're not solving it. So if you're going to be an adult about it, I think there's the problem with people with money. They just don't adult up quick enough when it comes to money. Like even the 40s, 50s, they're still not adulting up when it comes to money.
I know a few.
Adult up and say, right, I want to be in a better situation 3 or 4 years. I'm earning 600 quid after tax on a monthly basis or weekly basis. I'm still living at home, whatever it is. This week I'm going to put 100 quid aside and I'm going to do that for a year. That's 5 grand. Next year I'm going to try and put 200 quid. I'm up to 15 grand. That's how easy that happens. But you have to want it. And what you do is you take it out of your pay packet the day you get paid. So you save before you spend. Where a lot of people think, you know what, this week I'm going to save some money. Come Sunday morning, you're dying with a hangover and your debit cards have to be absolutely lambasted around town for the night, tapping every pub you can get into, and you've no money left. So the idea is that you try and save before you spend it. And yeah, that's all you can do. And it's like, there's no magic plan here. Just stop spending money on shit you probably don't need. Yeah, that's literally it. Like, there's no magic. Here's the financial expert's wizardry here. Like, it's literally stop spending money and save it. But you have to want to do it.
Yeah.
And it's okay if you don't want to do it as well. If you want to continue to go on the piss and have a great time and knock yourself out. Yeah. If that's what you want to do. I'm not here to tell anybody what to do when I deal with finances. Fair. I'm here to show you what to do when you want to do something with your money. I'm not here to judge anybody on what to do with the money. It's none of my business.
Cool. Start small. Spend before you save.
Yeah. And start small.
Save before you spend.
Or save before you spend. Spend before you save.
Oh, yeah, save before you save. I actually said yeah to that. Yes, good job, he's listening.
The second scenario then, say you're somebody later on in life, mid-40s, you have your mortgage, you have your kids, but no long-term planning in place. You've just been living week to week or month to month.
You need to book in for financial planning consultation because I said the majority of our stuff now are people in their 40s doing that. And you're not alone. They're a person, they are a listener, you know them. And if anyone's watching this in their 40s, you really need to start planning. Like you're over the midway, and you have to start looking. And you know, I did this earlier on. I think I said this already, by the way. But on Instagram, we did this for if someone was 40 years of age, had a 380 grand mortgage till 70, which is a lot of people listening today, and they wanted to clear their mortgage. You don't know what to do. 12 quid a day or 87 quid a week. With a pension and a small overpayment in a mortgage would mean you'd be mortgage free by 60 instead of 65, and you'd have 250 grand or 260 grand in a pension. Take the tax-free lump sum out of the pension, clear your mortgage, you've got about 180 grand in your pension, along with the state pension for the 2 years. You should have 36 grand to 40 grand a year forever down from 65 for 12 quid a day or 80 quid a week. So you don't need thousands of euro to have a financial plan. You just need, typically speaking, 50 to 100 quid a week. That's all you need for everybody. In between, I'm going to say 20, even better if you're 20, obviously. 20 up to, say, 44, 45. And then after that, it's probably 130, 150 quid a week for the same gain. But yeah, all you need is 100 quid a week. And you're laughing. You'll have a good impact on your financial plan.
Madness, yeah.
Even if you've done nothing before. No savings, no investments, no pensions.
Yeah. Starting from zero.
Starting from 100 quid a week. 86 quid a week was the figure. That's all you need. So this is not rocket science. This is not, needing tens of thousands of euro or needing a financial expert or being a financial expert yourself or having financial literacy behind you. This is just, no. But people say 86 quid, that's grand. Oh, that's 400 quid a month. Can't afford that. Yeah, maybe you can't. That's fine. Start with 200, see if you can get the 400 by the time you get to 50, which is 50 quid a week. The majority of people that are earning income are just probably wasting that 86 quid a week, truth be told, somewhere along the line. Making bad decisions. Now, a lot of people watching this haven't got 86 quid a week. I know that, might be unemployed, might have lost a job, might have a mortgage, might have a tracker mortgage where it's gone up 400 quid a month. So that's, and I get that. So I know it's not for everybody, but I'm talking for people that do have it.
Yeah.
As a financial planner, how much of the job is like actually planning and how much is being like a therapist or a counselor? I'd say so.
Especially with couples. It's mental when couples come in for something.
Imagine.
It's mad, yeah, it is mad. Yeah, no, there's a lot of coaching in this role. Again, the conversation with the guys in the team later on, Mark with a client of his from Cork, and decent pension plans, early 40s, and trying to find out what to do with it. And you're kind of, they had a decision to sell an investment property. They need to sell the investment property, but they are attached to the investment property.
Yes,
It doesn't make sense what you're doing. So we spent an hour coaching them, and then we're going to jump on another call next week, give them a week to think about it and coach them. Now again, they sell the investment property, there's no gain to us as their financial planner. They just end up having more income, and I told them to spend that income with the kids. I think I mentioned this client there you're on as well. But so like that's it was a coaching job today. It wasn't a financial planning or a product. Here's a pension, here's tax relief, here's inflation, here's compound interest, education and stuff that we usually do. It was more coaching people to make the right decision. So yeah, a lot of it's coaching.
I can imagine. Why do humans have to make everything so
emotions
complex?
just cloud everything, don't they?
Actually, that just because you said that about children. So one of our mates, Brian and Michelle, lovely couple, their kid Sam, little legend, but anyway, they were up in the house last week, and they're saying, Sam was saying to them, "Can I read Paul's book?" Little lad's 6 or 7 years of age, same age, Luca. "Can I read Paul's book? What's it about?" And I said, "Oh, he teaches people how to do what they should be doing with their money." Why? Because the kid was saying, surely you should fucking know what to do with your money. And to a 7-year-old, seriously, if you look at an alien, you look at a 7-year-old, and you say to a 7-year-old, we've X amount of money coming in, and we've got more money coming in, going out than we have coming in. They'd say, why? Why? Or we have this money, and we're going to try and spend more than we have. Why? Like, there's so many things in personal finance that is literally child's play, where a kid would look and go, what the fuck are you doing? And that was like, this kid just couldn't understand how I could have a job telling people how to better themselves with their money. And that was weird. I was actually thinking, yeah, he's right. Why do I have a job doing this? This isn't rocket science. It's not. But, everyone's different. They need like, I go to a trainer and go try and lose weight nearly every January, and then fail by April. Yeah. Go back to set. So, yeah, you're probably looking at me going, Paul, why have you got a six-pack yet? You're doing this 20 years, you lazy fucker.
Well, February now, so you haven't another 2 months
I'm actually still going in February, quite strong.
What kind of training do you do?
Huh?
Do you do a certain style of training, like CrossFit or whatever, or just general?
No, not CrossFit, just have a little gym out the back. So weight training, a bit of cardio. If a trainer going to check in online and try.
Nice, keep at it.
But it's just, it's hard sometimes at working, so it's like, but again, it's like me talking to someone about the money. It's hard, you just want to spend your money, I sit down and eat fucking 3,000 calories in a bleeding whisper. just hoover up a packet of Whispers or Crunchies or something. Like, I can't just eat one thing and leave it alone. So again, people find that weird. We're in the fitness industry going, man's destroying himself. Look at people that smoke, look at people that drink too much. So look, everyone's different when it comes to what they know how to manage or do.
Absolutely. One thing that stood out for me in the book that I had never heard of in my life until I read it was income protection. And once I read it, I was like, that just makes so much sense.
Yeah, look, income protection is I think probably Instagram are sick of me talking about income protection at this stage, but it's the most important financial product. It's better than your mortgage, better than your pension, your investment account, anything. It does exactly what it says in the tin. It protects your income. It's an insurance policy, and it protects up to 75% of your salary. So, if you're on 100 grand, or as a couple combined income 100 grand, you can screw up to 70 grand. Get tax relief on your premiums. If you go out sick for any reason, and you're out sick for either 3 months or 6 months, depending on your policy, the life company comes in and gives you a pay packet every week or every month. There's your wages right up to 75 years of age. It'll cover your mortgage, cover your kids, cover everything you need. And that 75% includes the state disability, which is about 12 grand, 13 grand, depending on your kids.
Right, okay.
So yeah, it's and I'd say this to people again, if you said this to a kid, I can give a client a pension and put 300 quid a month into the pension, say, right? And that 300 quid a month, this time next year, you're going to have paid in 3,600, yeah? And then the client gets sick for whatever reason or have an accident and they can never go back to work again. They can't touch that 3,600 until they get to 60 first of all. What the fuck's the point? Where they had to put 250 into the pension and 50 quid towards income protection. They get sick, they get an income up to 65 years of age, it still funds the pension as well, and everything stays on track. So that's 50 quid policy. But I think in Ireland we're so used to being sold, and I think every time I speak about income protection, people think I'm selling it. Yeah, we do sell the product. It's a product to be sold. We sell it, but it's the most important product they have. So that's why I kind of emphasise it so much, and why in the book it has such a big chapter, because like, people have life cover, no disrespect. You'll be dead. You won't know what's going on. If you need a life policy to be paid out. Where income protection, you live with the illness, you live with the accident. And yeah, there's a chance that nothing will happen, but that's why the premium is ridiculously low. It's probably 0.01% of your net take home.
Yeah, okay.
So put a small proportion of your money towards a very big issue if it happens. It's so logical. But the amount of people that just no, I'm all right, I'm bulletproof. We're not, like.
Not at all. You even gave stats in it of like the risks of a man and of a woman, but then if you even in a couple like two years together, the chance of one is going through
100%, yeah. And in fairness, some of the policies we do have as well, especially as you have stuff for kids. That was not nice to have about kids getting sick and seriously ill. But look, I mean, if you look at again, let's think about this logically. Let's pretend we're all 18 and we're all trying to get to 65. Actually, all trying to get to 90. Okay, so just to say you're 18 trying to get to 90 years of age, you got a 72-year life ahead of you. Do you think something might go wrong?
Easily.
So why don't you just take a very, very, very small proportion of your money? The revenue help you pay an income protection product as well.
Oh, they do, yeah?
Yes, income tax deductible. So the 50 quid will only cost you 30 quid after tax, which is even, and it could be 100 quid or 20 quid, whatever the policy is. Depends on your smoker status, your health. It depends on how much cover you want and how long you want to be off work before it kicks in and whether you want to stop at 60, 65 or 70. So there's about four different variables. And what your job is. If you're a bricklayer, more risk than somebody sitting at a desk all day. So there's 4 variables to the quotation. But we do free income protection quotes all day long. And some people say, yeah, he's trying to sell the product. But it's free because it's supposed to be, we don't want anyone having a blocker to get an income protection policy. Whatever an investment account charge 150 quid for it, or if a financial plan for 250 quid, or whatever the mortgage consultations are, the income protection is free because it's the most important thing. Now, a lot of people have it in work. I've always had it in work. Now, I don't have it actually anymore because I couldn't get it when I started tax because of a kidney complaint.
Oh, okay.
And I'm excluded from it. And that's maybe why I'm probably so passionate about it. But, you know, when I was in Irish Life or Royal Alliance, I started at 18, I had income protection and pension. When I was in Irish Life, I had income protection and pension and debt and service. And anyone that works in a bank, insurance company, all of my staff have it. It's usually you put in what's called risk benefits with the pensions. You get a pension plan, your employer pays in, income protection, debt and service. If you're out of work sick, the income protection plan kicks in. If you die in service, the debt and service pays out to your wife and your kids or your partner, your spouse, your parents, whatever it is. And they're the kind of basics that every good company has in place. So if you're self-employed or your employer doesn't have it in place, just put it in place for yourself. Don't say, I'm going to be at risk because my employer wouldn't pay it. Back to, why are you waiting for the politician to sort your house out? And that's very arrogant to me, probably. But
no, not at all. It's taking ownership.
It's taking your ownership of it. And so without a shadow of a doubt, the income protection policy, get onto the AskPaul website, click in for free protection consultation, have a chat with somebody about it. And especially if you're self-employed, like if you're self-employed, you practically have to go down to the social welfare office, that fucking horrible glass wall, and talk to somebody who doesn't want to be there about how sick you are and how many kids you have and how you can't afford your mortgage and you get more benefits. What would you do that for? That's soul destroying.
Oh man, no.
Just have an income protection policy, 50, 60 quid, say whatever it is. It depends on you.
Figure it out,
Figure it out. And if you have a pension, reduce the pension to put it in place so it's not actually cost you more outgoings on a monthly basis if you need it. But that's why income protection is so important, the book.
Yeah, like me and Leah both legally self-employed from the work that we do. My dad's been self-employed for as long as I can remember, so that's probably why that chapter particularly struck home with me. Just seeing those scenarios and like, you know what, chances are at some stage in life something will happen where we work for a little bit.
And some people, their occupation are excluded. There are excluded in some policies, and if someone had a health complaint, they mightn't get it. Somebody has, like, you had a client there last week, came in last year who had a back problem, and you had to exclude it back on the policy, but now we're having to get reversed from because he's got a clear MRI and he's been a year without any problems. He went back to the insurers, fought his case, and we've got him at the back exclusion lifted, so it's on his policy now. Lovely. So there's something new, but it's sorted. But so sometimes you have exclusions or you can't get the product depending on your occupation as well. But always worth a chat, have a chat, get it sorted.
Big time. You even gave the example, some people that like insure their iPhone for like 100 quid a year or some shit like this. Like, insure yourself, you're bleeding income.
People have pet insurance.
Yeah.
They're fucking talking. They don't have their income insured. You know, what's that about? And they say, like if the dog gets sick, like it'd be 2 or 3 grand in the vet. If you get sick, you're on 80 grand and it falls to 11 grand with the state. That's a 60 grand or 70 grand drop in income, and you're worried about the dog and the vet bill.
Everyone's fucked there.
Again, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's just crazy. But in fairness to people, there's so much thrown at them at life. Everyone's in the rat race as well. Everyone's getting up, going to work. A lot of people have kids. A lot of people are self-employed. You're trying to generate business. You're trying to do podcast. Whatever you're doing in your life. No one's sitting down thinking about all this stuff because it's not that exciting. And things that don't excite us or that we don't know about, we tend to bury our head in the sand or do the whole long finger, we'll come back to it later. And that's what we're here for. Is we're here from a financial planning point of view to say, once a year, give us an hour and we'll sort everything out. What's important, what's not important. And sometimes, you know, you're 35, you have no pension. That's okay. Let's sort out the house deposit first. Get you on the mortgage ladder and go back to the pension by 40. Yeah, that's equally okay. Doesn't mean to come in and start everything today and have a miserable life. Going back to 40 years of age, 86 quid a week sorts you out. Mental, like.
Yeah, the numbers are crazy.
Yeah, it is. Especially, I think people get lost in the time frame of it all.
Oh, yeah.
But like something small over 40 years is no longer something small.
Exactly. Especially if you have a mortgage outstanding that long or something, you don't have any pension provision in place.
Yeah. You have any more questions?
No.
I have one more question, but it's absolutely nothing to do with financial planning. It's just Paul Merriman as a human being. What do you like to do when you're not doing this sort of stuff?
As United fan, so I would have said football, but probably not.
Yeah, United supporters are not enjoying that these days. I started to try and play golf, which is soul destroying. Absolutely soul destroying. Don't know, like, I'm addicted to it, but I absolutely hate it. It's ridiculous. But I live lucky enough across from Leopardstown Golf Centre, so, you know, and I brought Luke, our 7-year-old out, who was actually better than me. Last Sunday morning, played a back 9 in the public course, and it's great crack. It's getting a bit of crack out of it. I like working out, like drinking, like eating out. So yeah, just having good time, good company, good people, holidays. I like spending money. So yeah.
Special skill for spending it, but even better at making it. That's
I always make it spend it, but no, I do. I'm not being cocky saying I like going away on good holidays. I like eating out in nice restaurants. That's it. Yeah, I suppose now hopefully golf. But before that, I'm gonna have to be really honest and born saying there wasn't really anything outside of work for probably the last 6 or 7 years.
Right. Okay.
So I'm trying to build golf in as a kind of part of a kind of a well-being kind of feel to do something for a few hours outside of the office.
Yeah, the DMs and everything else.
Yeah. So, and it is actually cool if you turn your phone off, go out for a few hours in the field and whack a ball around. Didn't realise how therapeutic it could be. So, hopefully.
Picturing some client's face on that golf ball.
That's the dark part. Actually, Seven and I were great mates. So we went 7 down to the CFP together.
Right, okay.
Yeah, it actually would have been over in Old Trafford with his lad.
No way.
Well. Yeah, Dara and my lad Keane a good few times. Owen's a legend. He's a great guy. Good practice. He built up a very successful career for himself. He's great.
He was the first person I've ever seen with the RTE show we had.
That
was my first encounter with personal finances.
Yeah, it's great. It's very similar. Years ago, when I was a kid, it would have been Eddie Hobbs that had the show and did all that. But I think loads of people say that to me as well about Owen, like as in competition. Like there's 1,200 regulated intermediaries. There's 20,000 regulated entities to give advice in Ireland. I think it's 20,000 qualified financial advisors and 800 CFPs. Me and Owen on Instagram have a decent presence.
There's plenty.
There's plenty to go around. He's a great guy. Had no problem recommending. Did you always say about somebody that you can trust in their industry? Would you recommend your mother?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think Owen would say yeah. When it came to his mum, I'd definitely say yeah when it comes to my mum. So, there's not this big, I don't know, people think we're right or something.
They want to make it beef.
Go for the point or something with the lad. Also, he's a legend, really cool guy, known him years, ex-Irish life as well. So, he's a cool dude.
One last question that just came.
Not as good a financial planner as I am.
Just because you mentioned you love eating out and going out for food, where'd be your favourite place to go for
So the new favourite restaurant,
okay,
Big Mike's in Blackrock.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, so he had Michael's Gaz. Now follow Gaz on Twitter. He's a legend. I'm not sure when this is going out, but we've just invested in it with him as well.
Congrats.
7 a few others. So I won't give their names, just wait for the press release for that. But Big Mike's, not just saying because I'm investing in it, it's a cool spot. So Gaz did this thing, I don't really know this. It came out in the Sunday Business Post just after we'd sold the business, in fairness. It was, he was looking for what's called friends with benefits, not what you're thinking, where you gave him 10 grand and he gave you 10 grand in vouchers. So it was kind of crowdfunding.
Right, yeah. And
I was like, that is such a... Didn't know the guy, didn't know the restaurant, never been to Michael's. I seen it going, I loved that balls of that lad from an entree. He's looking for 50 people, so he's raising $500,000. Who the fuck even thinks about going onto the paper say I want $500,000 for free? No interest, but I'm going to give you vouchers you can use over the next whatever amount of years. So I supported that, bought into it, gave him the 10 grand, got the vouchers, start going down with Sarah, the odd company event. And he's a buddy now, guys. We've gone really well with him. He's a legend. And he's going to be doing some really... I'm really excited about that, with what we're going to be doing together in the future. But maybe that's another episode. But Big Mike's and Blackrock. I love Shanahan's as well. I've always loved Shanahan's. But yeah, I was in that new restaurant. I wasn't one in the old Abercrombie Finch in town.
Hawksmoor.
Hawksmoor, yeah. I was there a couple of
Steakhouse,
times.
yeah.
Yeah, it's nice. I don't think it's as good as Shannon from a steak point of view. It was nice, better ambience and better place. But if you haven't been to Big Mike's, the food is off the charts, and the place, he's taken this little old shit kind of granny cafe in Blackrock Shopping Centre and turned it into an absolute amazing spot for food. He has a little bar outside. He's a bar license now, or a late license on it, music license on it. And it's just a great vibe in the place. So hope you see more Big Mike's around the country.
We'll check it out.
Watch this
Big
space.
Mike's on the list.
Yeah,
Love
Big
it.
Mike's is on the list.
Paul, anything you want to plug before we jump off? Where can people find you if they're not already following AskPaul?
Yeah, I mean, AskPaul.ie. And, you know, if you don't like what you see, go somewhere else. Speak to someone about personal finance. It's more important. And you know what? Pick up the book if you want to pick up the book. Again, I don't think we do. We don't sell in the book because it's not about AskPaul. It's not about consultations. It's not. It's really, if you're fearful of going to meet somebody, whether it's us or another financial planner, or you know you have a work company pension scheme and you just don't want to speak to someone, because a lot of people don't talk about money, and that's fine. Yeah. Get the book. Brings you through the A to Z of personal finance. And I think it would help you with a mental health, financial well-being space as well, is what I hope the book does for people.
Yep.
So yeah, maybe the starting point is the book and see where you go from there if you're not interested in sitting down and speaking to someone.
Love it. Paul, thanks for your time, man. Appreciate your wisdom, your knowledge, and coming on down to chat to us.
Cheers, lads. Thanks for having me.